we're going to go over the story of Gregory Baum, okay?
All right.
So when I say a gay Jew infiltrated the Vatican and wrote a major part of Vatican II, we need to take a few steps here. First, you may say, do I mean that he was same-sex attracted and maybe chose a gay lifestyle later in his life? Do I mean that he, because there's a lot of things that could mean, right?
Yeah.
What do I mean gay?
Clarity.
We know that during the period that he was writing these documents, the first draft of these documents that became a major part of Vatican II, he was having active gay sex. Okay, now you're not supposed to do that as a priest, but he wrote an autobiography. This comes from his autobiography.
So it's not even slander. It's like
not even slander. I know you can say, but how could he be a Catholic priest and a Jew? Do you mean he's ethnically Jewish and maybe not actually Jewish? And no, here I generally I'm generally pretty pro-Jewish. When people say, "Oh, are you scared of Greater Israel?" I'm like, I don't know how much I like those places. Would you think Israel's going to be this big, nice thing right here?
Like how big Israel. We talking?
I'm a little okay, but Jews are born with an addition to their sneak stat, right? We see this in Mossad. We see this in general stereotypes. They can pull off things that no one else could pull off. So this guy was born to a Jewish mother, non-Jewish father.
Oh my gosh! Wait, hold on. Can we explore that a little? That's interesting. So like. I guess that makes sense. It would be a genetic thing. That there was a genetic ability to like be really good at that.
You spec into Jew, you get like plus 25 to sneak. Mossad has pulled off stuff that no one else in the world can pull off. They got terrorists to pay them for pagers that blew their nuts off, right? Like the scale. They got the. You know how many times we tried to kill like Fidel Castro, and Mossad's like, here's where he is. Just drop the bomb, okay? We'll get him, the family, whatever. They've been very good and they've dismantled multiple terrorist networks. We've done terrible. Like if you consider their efforts at stuff like against Hezbollah, against our efforts against like in Afghanistan, they make us look comically inept, and we are one of the most competent militaries on earth. Well, really the most competent.
I think they do I think because of the situation that they're in, they have had to learn to do more with less, I think. Whereas we are very, very much like we have everything, so just fucking blow everything up.
When we come down and we do the Venezuelan thing, even when we're acting at our best, it's still like Space Marines versus Psychers, right? Like for us, it's like we come down, area effect weapon, guys walking, everyone's on the ground, like bleeding and squirming. We just go and grab the guy and take him back on the helicopters and fly out. Whereas the Jews have to do the sneakier pathway, the psycher.
They would have had like some situation in which like they blackmailed like one of the dude's own bodyguards to like and the driver, and then when he gets into the car, they just like snatch him from the car and drive him straight somewhere. That's
typical. Like it's good. I'm impressed. I'm not just
Metal Gear.
So anyway, this guy, you could say, well, what do I mean by he's Jewish? Okay, so he is matrilineally Jewish. He would have considered himself Jewish, and his mother was in the Holocaust, so this was very top of mind for him, and he appeared to be Jewish when he was younger. At the age of 21, he has a conversion to Christianity, a very suspicious conversion, because it just was him reading the Confessions of St. Augustine, which are not that... that doesn't sound like a normal conversion story to me, but it sounds like a story a Catholic would believe, because it's like poetic and nice and has a little bow on it. But like most people, it's like,
what if he's a? Do you think he was a Jew-op? But you're mentioning.
Hold on.
Okay. All right, I won't get ahead of it.
One of the main things that he pushed for, presumably this guy was a believing Catholic, was that it was immoral for Catholics to convert Jews to Catholicism.
Dude, is this real? Is this real? Charles.
Go to an AI. Look at it. You need to get like backup that I'm not making this up.
No, I trust. I know you look up everything on AI. Oh God.
Yeah. I do not. Like, I actually sat with this for a while. How could you believe Catholicism as a former Jew and think it's immoral to convert other Jews? Right? The best explanation I can come up with is he believes that both covenants still hold, the Jewish covenant and the Christian covenant, which I actually believe, but that's a weird techno-Puritan thing. But he believes both covenants hold, and so therefore Jews are saved by staying with the traditional faith system, and therefore they don't need to be converted. And noted, he didn't just say it's bad, he said as a Catholic, convert a Jew to Catholicism is a continuation of the Holocaust.
Sorry, there was
he said it's bad in like the strongest possible words you could say it was bad.
Sorry, there was some shit happening.
Sorry, did I break your brain, Leaflit?
No. There was shit going on outside. That's why I have cameras. Remember, I've got my Five Nights at Freddy's like security camera set up, and I was like, I saw a lot of motion, so I was like looking. What happened was there was a raccoon trying to ransack some food, and my mom ran outside and chased it off. All right. Go ahead. Sorry.
Okay. Now, note here, I want to make an aside. Suppose I was a Jew. I think people have a right to attempt to protect their own people. I think people have a duty to attempt to protect their own people.
Yeah.
And that he would go into a religion that believed at the time that they had a mandate to convert or potentially eradicate Jews, if you look at some older Vatican councils, and attempt to change that. I will not hold that against an individual. In fact, that he got away with what you're about to see him get away with might be the single greatest heist in human history.
Oh my God.
In terms of contributions to the faith around what we got from Constantine or Henry VIII, okay? So let's go
the
over.
The sneak stat is real.
Okay. I need to ask. Okay. Explain the document and what it changed. So he wrote a document that is called the Nostra Aetate, or Latin for in our time. All right. Mm-hmm. This document was approved by the Pope when it was the official Pope approval, and of the bishops at the Second Vatican Council, over 2,000 voted for it. I think it was like 2,300 and something, mm-hmm. and only 33 voted against it. I remember the statistics here. It was only a 3.4% vote against it. This document is part of the Catholic magisterium now. That means it's not the same as a papal bull, e.g. not directly the word of God, but Catholics do have to, according to the catechism, submit themselves to things that are in the magisterium. I can get it to the wording of that if people are interested in that, but anyway. So what does the document say? So what the document says is that Hinduism, Buddhism, Islam, and Judaism all have like a ray of God's truth within them. And then it goes on to glaze Hinduism, Buddhism, Islam, and Judaism for various reasons. Let's go over some quotes here. Cause I remember when I told Simone this, cause she converted to Christianity.
Why would they do this?
And she's like, Simone was so triggered. She's like even us with our fairly looser interpretations of things. She's like, wait, this is in the Catholic magisterium? All Catholics must submit themselves to this? They don't need to treat it as the word of God, but they do have to submit themselves to it. So we'll go over this. Let's get the exact. Let's just see if I can find the podcast on this. It'll be easier to just go through the quotes I took on the podcast on like Buddhism. Okay, let's see. Well, what does he say about Buddhism? Okay. He says, if I can find the quotes here. Okay, here we go. I had it. Okay. On Buddhism, again, Buddhism in its various forms realizes a radical insufficiency of the changeable world. It requires in a way by which men in a devout and confident spirit may either acquire the state of perfect liberation or attain by their own efforts or through higher help, supreme illumination. Let's see if I can find what he says about
So were these other ones added? Like, see, because I'm trying to think about motive, right? So if this is indeed a psyop, why add in the other ones? Is that to take off like aggro, basically? Because if it was only Jewish, it'd be like,
Yeah, we'll get to that in a second. It's actually interesting.
Okay.
So, for Islam, he said they adore the one God, living and subsisting in himself, merciful and all-powerful, the creator of heaven and earth, who has spoken to men. They take pains to submit wholeheartedly to even his inscrutable degrees, just as Adam, ... They acknowledge Jesus as God, and they revere him as a prophet. So, sorry, they say they do not acknowledge Jesus as God, but they revere him as a prophet. They also honor Mary, his virgin mother, ... In addition, they await the day of judgment, ... Finally, they value the moral life and worship God, especially through prayer, aslaming, and fasting. So this is really within Catholic doctrine, the thing that introduced the idea. Because note here, he doesn't just say that like Hinduism and Buddhism are partially true. The other thing that's really clarified here is that Islam, Muslims, and Jews worship the same God that Christians worship, which was not previous Catholic doctrine. And so
is that where that came from? Because I heard that same thing. Wait, yeah, because you hear that all the time.
This is all Vatican II stuff.
Really?
And so what ended up happening is they, and when you look at it, you can be like, was it just this one guy? So from my understanding, what he wrote, so if you're like, oh, was he just one of the writers of this? Now, anything that was agreed on in Vatican II, many hands touched. Nothing happened with just one person. But he did write, to all of the historical church knowledge we have, the entirety of the first draft of this document. What we know about the first draft of the document and how it was different from other drafts is the first draft was pretty much exclusively focused on Jews, and all of the other religions were added later. Now, because you're like, why did he do that? You know, that's why. And now you can say, why did the vast majority? Because when Catholics are like, we're going to retake the church, I'm like, bro, 3.4% of your bishops voted against this, right? Like, this is a difficult battle to retake the church. I want you to win, but the odds are not in your favor. And this was in the 1960s. It's a lot more progressive now than it was then.
Oh, geez.
So, yeah, I mean, the Catholicism has always been very, very progressive religion in its central bureaucracy. And so, you know, I went to do research. The guy ended up, by the way, leaving Catholicism. The reason he left Catholicism was because he wanted to experiment with his sexuality. And I'm like, okay, first of all, bro, you're already having gay sex while you're a Catholic priest, so you're not like that dedicated on this subject. But two, if you were straight, you wouldn't be able to experiment with your sexuality as a priest. Yeah. What are you talking about? And he acted like the church was being oppressive because they wouldn't let him have gay sex as a priest. And I'm like, that's like the way he writes everything. And I'm like...
Oh my gosh.
Hey, did all of this mean nothing for you? And by the way, throughout the course of his entire life, both before and after he wrote this part of Vatican II, most of his writings are on LGBT activism. He was a mainstream LGBT activist.
Oh man.
So that's what he was always about, right? Now, note here, what do I think is most realistic? Do I really think... I think that he had Jewish sympathies, but like Jews are very against gay sex as well. So I really think more than anything, he was a agent of the urban monoculture infiltrating Catholicism, who maybe had some ethnic sympathies for Jews.
So it's kind of like a modern day Jew, like not a modern day like city, the city sort of like not really practicing Jew, just ethnic Jew sort of a thing.
And he if we could get our own not really practicing people to protect us practicing people the same way people like him go to bat, like, yeah, well, I think we'd be doing pretty good. But yeah, so he really transformed Catholic ideology, and a lot of Catholics today, I mean, our Catholic fan base is not a particular fan of Vatican II. Most Catholics, I imagine, in
woke Jew is what Nux uses apparently. The woke Jews.
Yeah. I mean, the woke Jews are sort of, I mean, it's important to remember that the Jews that are having kids are Orthodox Jews that are majority conservative. And they're not just majority conservative. They are a very important voting bloc for conservatives to win elections in the United States because they have a large population in Florida.
Yeah.
Like when people are like, oh, Jews don't help us win. No, Jews are enormously important to conservative presidential victories. And needlessly antagonizing them is not particularly useless just for protecting their own people, which we should want to do as well. But in this particular instance, I think he was just sort of one of those woke pseudo, tied. But the point is he never seemed to really, when I look at his writings, he seemed to spend most of his time as a priest just writing about gay stuff. And he seemed to just want to, by the way, crazy story. So after he leaves the priesthood, he then ends up in a long-term relationship with another ex-priest. Then a short-term relationship with another ex-priest, then he marries a nun, then she dies, ex-nun, then he's in a long-term relationship with another ex-priest. And I'm like, how did he know all these gay freaking people in the Catholic priesthood? And I'm like, maybe we need to be looking into this. Like this is, and actually there's a Wikipedia on this, if you want to look it up, is the prevalence of same-sex attracted people in the Catholic priesthood, and it's between 15 and 25%. Sorry, 50 and 25%, if I remember correctly.
15 and 25%. What's that compared to, like, I guess average, like a control?
It's like, I want to say like quadruple or quintuple. I mean, it was always sort of supposed to be that way. So the Catholic, I mean, okay, so imagine you're born gay and same-sex attracted in a religion that doesn't approve of same-sex attracted lifestyles. The priesthood sort of acts as like an ethically sourced unit caste.
True, that's
where,
true,
like,
yeah.
you don't have to worry about the nepotism, and all you have to do is stay celibate, maybe. And then within some of them, you begin to see them act non-celibate.
Mm-hmm.
So what he said, what was the goal of the Soviet Union? No Jews, no Christians, no Muslims, no Slavs. Yeah, I mean, the Soviet Union really hated the Jews. Marx really hated the Jews. He wrote an entire book about why you need to kill all the Jews. Marx is not a friend. The communism is not a friend of the Jews. Almost every communist state where Jews existed in large numbers tried to kill all the Jews. They also almost all tried to kill all the gays. We're going to do an episode on that eventually, because I'm always shocked when gays are like pro-communism. I know, communists always try to kill the gays, right? Like, always try to kill the gays. That's always step two, right? Like, don't, what is this? Marx hates everything, including me. Drawing from the good, like, well, no, they hated everything that wasn't communist. That's the idea. You break apart identity, and then only communist is left. So if you have any identity that's not communist, they hate you.
So they're still playing the identity thing, just
yeah. By the way, for people who say, because there's been studies on this, is there were a disproportionate number of Jews in leadership castes within the communist revolution. This is factually true, but it's not true that it's actually a lower disproportionate proportion when you consider the Jewish population in the country than pretty much every capitalist country on earth by like an order of like 3. So, e.g. in the U.S., there's also a hugely disproportionate number of Jews in the government, and it's way bigger than the disproportionate number of Jews in the communist government. And, like, why wouldn't this make sense? If Jews have sort of proven themselves to be capitalism specialists, why would they want a system without capitalism that could just turn on them and often did? Like, they do quite well under capitalism. What's the where are we going here? But yeah, that was one of the craziest stories I've ever read. I'm like, reading that was like the fucking I was like, wait, what like, what a heist. I need a movie where like this is where he's out
make
there.
A movie. This would be a good movie, actually.
Like literally getting this into like official things that's like Pope and Papal Council approved is that I believe Allah is a fake God. Yeah, I'm increasingly. I originally saw some benefit in thinking that Muslims might believe in the same God, but I'm increasingly thinking not. The more I study it, it just. If specifically what I thought is, well, they had a golden age, right? Like they seemed to be favored at some point, right? Like they weren't always what we see today. But then I studied the golden ages more, and I realized that the golden age was always in regions where Muslims weren't the majority. They were just the ruling caste at the time. And that's not really a Muslim golden age. So like maybe Islam works as like a ruling small caste for a short period, but it doesn't work very well at running larger civilizations.
So you're saying that the things that were created during that were not necessarily Muslim, like wasn't the it wasn't the reason, basically.
Yeah, it wasn't the reason. We have a video where we go over like the long-term effects. One of our spicier videos. You want to see it? Like why do Muslims not win wars?
Someone from chat asks, can you do an episode on the Islamic Golden Age?
I should. We do have an episode on that. We talk about how Muslims. It's the episode on how Muslims went from debauched to incredibly restrictive. Because like if you think of the historic version of a Muslim and the stereotypes we had of them, Jabba's palace, for example, is actually considered the historic stereotype of the way Muslim society looked to the West, which was incredibly hedonistic. If you watch old movies from like the 1920s and stuff like this, and they go to Persia and it would be parties all the time and drinking as well. Mm-hmm. It's got harems, the belly dancing, and now it's like the exact antithesis of that. And what we went over in that episode is how that ended up happening. And essentially what happened is Islam seemed to function when it was a minority ruling caste religion and not when it became the majority religion. Which makes sense if you look at the way it's structured. It was never really made to be a religion that everyone followed. It was made to be a religion that the elites followed in societies of slaves.
Malcolm has a nice shirt. It says Soleil.
Oh, thank you. I wasn't sure about that. I was a little afraid because I like the medieval look. Like that's what I'm trying to go for more, Tradmaxing. And I asked my God, does this look a little BDSM-y or something? She's like, no, it looks fine. And no one has criticized me on it, so I'm going to go.
Yeah, it's nice. It's nice.
But yeah, I'd love to. I mean, I need to pull up the episode on it to go over details. But like the episode on how long it's been since Muslims have won a war is astonishing. And they keep getting stomped by significantly smaller forces. And when I say a war here, I mean a war of conquest where they held the territory. And then somebody's like, well, what about Constantinople, right? The Ottoman Empire. Okay, but here's the problem with the Ottoman Empire. Who led the Ottoman army? Was it the descendants of Muslims? No, it was the Janissaries, who were explicitly the descendants of Christians. And so, like, that's a weird thing, that the only recent Muslim victories we have are when they were led by the children of Christians, which are going to have some genetic differences from the Muslims and the way that affects society. And the Janissaries basically ended up taking over the Ottoman Empire eventually, by the way, in case you're wondering. And so the question is, and we see this even today, I mean, if you look at like the Yom Kippur War or the 7 Days War, like the early Israel wars, Israel was massively outnumbered. And it was not the economic, technological, or military superpower it is now. They had like rusting tanks, and they still curb stomped everyone. I mean, that's how they got all their land. When people are like, they didn't like run a war of expansion. They kept getting jumped by all of their neighbors at once, thinking they were going to get rid of them, and then in fighting back, took a bunch of land. That is where all of the fights over the land come from. And note, they've given the vast majority of it back already. It's just that whenever they give it back, everyone immediately goes to trying to kill them again because the people around them want to kill them, right? It's by the way, somebody's like, IQ make the difference. Yeah, but it's not just that. It's also that Muslims everyone is constantly looking for any reason to betray everyone else. An entire society, top to bottom, built on betrayal. And you can be like, oh, Malcolm, what are you saying? This is a horrible stereotype. I'm like, look up the average number of military coups per year in Muslim majority countries. It's astonishingly high. You do not see, like, literally. And this caused a huge problem for other military.
Was it how many coups?
Oh, yeah, look this up. Military coups per. Actually, I'll think a better way to think of it. In the past 100 years, how many Muslim majority military coups have there been?
Do you think there'll ever be a point where we'll be allowed to talk about genetic differences? Do you think that'll be a thing?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think there are no genetic differences. This is culture, and we'll get into culture. Because we can't talk about it, right? Like, even if it was, it's not something we can talk about, right?
Wait, so there aren't there genetic differences?
What's
in
funny
terms
is
of, like,
that
nature?
we can say there are deleterious effects to first cousin marriage. Everyone knows that, and we can say first cousin marriages are very common in these countries, but we cannot say, and then so.
No, but I mean, in terms of nature, does not exist in terms of, like, what there is, like, for instance, for IQ for sure, but then how about, like, how a person is? And, like, I mean, I guess the thought is that a person has a specific nature that can be unlocked through or routed through certain culture, I guess. 95 successful military coups. That's a lot.
I got a higher number than that, by the way.
What'd you get?
I got 100 to 150.
Wait.
But here's the fun thing. So do you know how many there's been in Catholic majority countries?
How many?
150 to 200. You know how many there's been in Protestant majority countries?
How many?
0 to 5. Yeah. Protestants and Catholics are different.
So the 95 was successful. 95 was successful coups.
Yeah, this is 0 to 5 successful. The point here being, I'm not saying by your fruits you will know them, or that Catholics are closer to Muslims than they are to Protestants, or that Catholics keep getting stomped in wars. I mean, look at this. When you have a people that do these sorts of coup things, what that causes is you need a more centralized command structure because you can't put too much power in the lower factions. And if you think it like World War II, the Catholic majority countries were mostly like joke players. It's like France and Italy getting beaten by like Ethiopia. And then you've got the Protestant powers that were the only ones that were really pulling any weight, like Germany, Britain, and the United States. But this comes from the high amount of backstabbery. And so the question is why do we see this? Because it's a very easy, like, Spain and Ireland. I mean, Spain and Ireland were also joke players in World War II. Ireland didn't even play, right? They sat down with their ball, and Spain it hurt itself in its confusion. You, by the way, also see this with terrorism. You see almost no instances in the past 100 years of terrorism in a Protestant majority country, but it's very frequent in Catholic majority and Muslim majority countries. Consider the IRA, Spain, Italy. Like, we all know it. It happens all the time. It's very
That's
similar.
Interesting, yeah.
And so the question is why do we see this difference? I am actually not entirely sure why we see this difference. My best guess as to what causes this difference is not by your fruits you will know them, because of course we don't look in the Bible. Come on, but my best guess is that in both Muslim and Catholic societies, because you don't have a strong prohibition against idolatry. And note, Muslims will say we have a strong prohibition against idolatry, but not the same way that Protestants do. In Muslim communities, you can't make an image of Muhammad, but you can deck out your entire house with gold if you want, and have the fanciest of art and have the fanciest of everything. But in most Protestant societies, that's heavily shamed. Overly gaudy displays of wealth, which makes the
humbleness is very, very big.
Catholic society, oh my God, don't get me started with all the the boobobs and gadgets.
That's actually so true. Actually, like whenever you go to like it's a Catholic house. You know what I mean? Like if you go to a house, someone's house that's a Catholic house, you know it is.
No,
100%.
even when they're not rich, it's like still all the paintings and candles and little tchotchkes everywhere.
That's actually so
Catholic
true.
Blake. You go to like a poor Mexican's house and it's like covered in all the Jesus candles that cost them all the
It's like candles that have like pictures on them, like yeah.
You know what I'm talking about.
I know what you're talking about.
It's weird. You're like that's a lot of tchotchkes, guys. Like maybe just have very little. But what this means is there's more benefit. If you betray a command structure, you have a huge amount you can potentially gain. You can have mansions. You can have the Muslims that win the coups live in a lifestyle that the very rich like. Okay, if I'm Muslim and I win in a coup in, let's say, Egypt or something like that, the lifestyle I'm going to live is going to be astonishingly better than the lifestyle somebody like Elon Musk lives in the United States, being the wealthiest man in the world, right? Who sleeps on couches and stuff like that, just to show that he's not too, because he's got.
Oh, right, because there's not much to use it on, because you don't want to go too crazy. I mean, it's sort of like similar to. I mean, anyway, yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah. So I think that this is mostly downstream of an extreme revulsion of idolatry, where idolatry is understood, I believe, rightly as accumulating excess wealth and displaying it.